disrespectfully. Don't get a party, me and the baby, moving and jamming, moving and jamming. The music season, and we feel the sweet. I am ashamed to say, every night and day, I want to wave, I want to wine, I want to party with party with you. I want to love you right, yeah. I want to wave, I want to wine, I want to party with you. Party with you.
WEFM, the clean, fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, it's time for an SPG. It is 7:45, and that means it's time for us to hear commentary from Lyf Compton. Morning, Lyf.
Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, right?
It's Valentine's. Is a pre-Valentine's kind of thing.
Not really, but
Valentine's. You were in Trinidad and Tobago colors, so yeah. He actually
of course.
Mode.
It's true.
Of course.
Yes.
Nicole is the right one. Only right one. So did you guys catch any of Parliament yesterday?
I did.
Okay, right. So I looked at it yesterday for the entire morning session, and what came to mind is some of the actions by the Speaker of the House of Assembly. It was to me, and not just to me, some of the things that the Speaker did was strange to many people. I got a little distraction. There's somebody just shouted me. Yeah. So yeah, some of the things the Speaker did yesterday was strange to some people. I was looking at some of the function of the House yesterday, and I found some of the things that the members of Parliament were doing to be strange. And I didn't say anything because I'm not a professional on these issues, right? So what I usually do when I have like doubts, I usually go and research. I ask someone who knows, right? So the first thing I noticed that a lot of members were reading the entire speeches, reading non-stop. And I was looking at it and I was saying to myself, that looks very strange to me. But I never paid it any mind. But then the opposition leader, Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves, he objected to the Minister Lavon Gibson-Velox reading her speech, and he explained why it isn't done like that, and the Speaker of the House allowed her to continue. So then I went researching, and it said basically that ministers are only allowed to read the entire speech if it's a policy issue, but what they usually do is refer to notes. But then it also says that the Speaker has the authority to allow the person to read. So the Speaker basically said, well, okay, I note the objection, but I am going to allow Minister Gibson-Velox to continue reading her speech. And then I asked a former Speaker of the House of Assembly if that was correct. Well, I asked former Speaker of the House of Assembly, Jomo Thomas, if that is how it is done. And his response was, no, members are only allowed to read their speech if they ask the Speaker. So the format in which it was done was incorrect. You're supposed to ask the Speaker before you do that. So the format was kind of wrong because it was being read and then the Speaker allowed it to be read. You're supposed to ask before you do that. And in my mind, well, I didn't research this part, but in my mind, the reason that the House rules may say that a minister is not allowed to just come to Parliament and read the entire speech is a way of making sure that the minister knows from the top of the head what exactly is going on in the ministry and can talk about it freely in Parliament without having to read the entire speech. To me, that's what the rule is for. I don't know, I could be wrong. Because to be honest, I didn't research that part, but I could see the importance of having a rule like that in Parliament because I've never really seen it done before. Only the budget address where they're allowed to read that or whatever, but I've never really seen like a minister go and just read an entire speech. I've never seen that. So that was one of the things that stood out.
Yeah, I know that Carlos had raised it in the previous, I think it's the estimates, when Conroy Huggins did it. He raised the point in relation to Conroy Huggins, of that same point about reading. But I am also, so while it is that I acknowledge what the rule is, I am wondering if the speaker allowed Mrs. Velox Gibson to read because it was the first presentation that she was making in Parliament. Because, not everybody necessarily feels comfortable speaking in public. And yes, it's going to be a learning experience for her. But was she given the blight on account of it being her first time doing a presentation in Parliament? And maybe from there on, we could see improvements in, well, not just her, but in many of the others who made the presentations.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, looking into it now, it says that, MPs are encouraged not to read word for word. And the expectation is to speak more naturally using notes. And the idea is to encourage genuine debate rather than scripted performances. That's the main thing about it. But it says it's common at MPs to rely heavily on written speeches. The Speaker of the House really intervenes unless it disturbs debate. So we see that, okay, we saw that creeping in. Yeah, we saw that creeping in. Another thing that was strange to me is that during Senator Carlos James' presentation, the Speaker began quoting from notes about what a government minister said. To me, that amounted to like her joining the debate because they don't normally see that, right? You normally see the Speaker only coming in if they have questions about behavior or whether she has to make certain rulings and sort of things, but to actually go and quote what a government minister said to a senator and saying, well, this is what was said or what was said or what was said or whatever. I never really see that being done before, unless it's a situation where a senator or minister is accusing someone of saying something and the House, the Speaker of the House has to address it in a way to make a decision. But I never seen that actually done before, to be honest. It seems like, to me, it seems like if she was like, the Speaker was like taking part in the debate. That's how I look at it.
Okay,
how I look at it.
That was interesting. I saw that exchange, but I mean, so I guess you questioned it, but I actually didn't, because I don't know, maybe it didn't stand out or seem any different to me. But the point that Carlos was making was interesting, and it seemed to have been a correct point. But
that was another interesting thing again too.
I thought the point that Carlos made was a valid one, but
he read it twice. He read what I actually said twice. So that was another interesting. Something else.
But maybe you see that same point that you're raising in terms of the Speaker. So a point is made, and there's a quote-unquote counteraction or defense of the point. Not using parliamentary language because I don't know parliamentary language. If maybe that is a question that you could also pose to maybe Jomo in terms of if the Speaker is trying to get clarification on a point, if it's correct for him or her to quote directly from what was stated before. Because how you saying they're engaging in sounds like you're engaging in the debate as opposed to trying to get a clarification on whatever the point of order was, etc.
So another thing is when there was an exchange between Major Sinclair Leacock and the opposition leader, and the opposition leader was basically saying that Mr. Major Leacock should take back what he was saying about, it was some comment about to do with the devil or whatever. And when the opposition leader had raised the point about Minister Gibson Velox reading, he had left after it was overruled. He had left. So when he raised the point about Major Leacock should take back the reference of devil or whatever, it was a little bit of crosstalk, and then the speaker said that she would reserve her ruling on that. So the opposition leader did not like the fact that he wasn't being told to take it back. So he said that the parliament was becoming a joke, and he attempted to pack his things up and leave. And the House Speaker of the House told him, this is the second time you're attempting to walk out or whatever, and I will bar you from the house. I will make something to the something say along the lines of saying I will stop you from coming to the house. And the speaker cannot stop a member of parliament from coming to the house on a permanent level, right? And he said the only people could stop me from coming to the house is the people of North Central Windward, right? Basically you have to have a reason to bar a member, a solid reason to bar a member of parliament from coming to it. You have to have a very solid reason. We have seen incidents we saw a few years ago. Hendrik Alexander, former Speaker of the House of Assembly, Hendrik Alexander, where members of the then New Democratic Party were forcibly removed from Parliament after a standoff. They were forcibly removed, and in that incident, Daniel Cummins, now Minister of Health Daniel Cummins, who is the parliamentary representative for West Kingston, he was forcibly removed, and he was injured during the process where he had to go to Trinidad for medical attention. So they were forcibly removed at that point, and then about 2 years after, he had basically requested that he needed a specialized chair to sit on, and the Parliament had refused to purchase the chair, so he had purchased it himself, and he was attempting to bring it into the Parliament, and the Speaker, for some reason, blocked the chair from coming into Parliament, and then they were forced to remove from Parliament again. That is incidents we know when MPs were forced to remove, but it wasn't a situation where they were forced to remove forever. It was just basically for the day or whatever until they could resume Parliament on another day. So a House Speaker does not have the power to remove a member of Parliament on a permanent basis. Maybe for reasons of decorum or whatever, you can be asked to leave for a day, but it has to be something very extreme, because a member of Parliament actually has more right to be in the House than a Speaker, because they are elected members, where the people of the country have put them in Parliament. The Speaker of the House is a selected member where people, MPs, put her or him there. So those were some strange things. We have seen speakers make mistakes before. It's not nothing new. So this is not like a knock on anyone, because we have seen former Speaker of the House Jomo Thomas admitted that he made a mistake in relation to the motions that were filed back then when the then opposition New Democratic Party, the members were trying to bring a motion of no confidence, and the government changed it to a motion of confidence, and former Speaker Jomo Thomas had to rule on that. And then the way he ruled in favor of the government, but then he came back and said that, he made a mistake. And that was the right thing to do. If you make a mistake, you acknowledge you make a mistake. But we have seen other speakers do things that are mistakes and admit that they made a mistake. We have seen some become very stubborn and never admit that they made a mistake. The rulings are just blatantly political, and they just like go with it. But then we know that's where the House are about. Every government elects a speaker that is going to be on their side. That's just how it is. I don't think we have ever seen
if we have a call, let's just take this call.
Okay.
Good morning. Sorry.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Lyf on the line?
He is, yes.
Uh, I think I heard Lyf just said, I can't remember exactly what he used, but basically alluding to the fact that speakers make mistakes. Yeah, that's from a human point of view, but when something is deliberate and you can see through it, then you know that's not a mistake. And I think our young speaker is showing up herself, especially in the most recent session, as in the last 2 or so days, to be very best. And that's my opinion, right? And there are instances where I think that bias have even come through for political affiliation, right? Because our constitution doesn't protect us from that in terms of someone independent is not necessarily so aligned to a political party in terms of her previous role, right? And I think that's not sitting well because we had students who attended this sitting of Parliament, and I think for them to sit down and witness these type of what I consider to be disrespect, especially to an elder statesman, one of the most experienced and longest serving politician we have in our country. That to me was very distasteful. I felt very hurt, but I really not because of how I feel about politics. It's how I feel about how someone who serves the country should be treated in the House. On the issue of the reading, it was boring, and you can tell when someone who's presenting when they should be debating, and even if you have a script, you can ad lib, you can talk about other things and connect them, make the connection to community, how they're going to, what's the vision, what's the mission, who they're going to affect, impact, and all these things, rather than reading verbatim, line for line. How does that sit well with a debate in the House of Assembly? That does not. It's like a press conference presentation, and I think the House should address that. And I agree with Lyf on that particular matter.
Okay.
But if I may just quickly, I wanted to touch on a topic you guys it's really, really a good topic yesterday on the issue of the ban of carbonated drinks and so on and so forth.
Sean, if you don't mind, right? We have to take a quick break to do a time check. You can call immediately after we get back into the segment. All right?
Okay, that's no problem.
Okay.
Thank you for having my call.
No problem. All right, so we are going to take a quick break at this time to do our time check. Time here in SVG, it is 8:02, and our time check came through the compliments of New Haven Funeral Home.
Death is a fact of life. Even though death is a fact of life, that doesn't make it any easier. When dealing with the loss of a loved one, you may try to be strong, but it's really hard sometimes. But that's just when the experience of the staff at New Haven Funeral Home can demonstrate their compassion and help to guide your family through the difficult time. So in your time of loss, call the New Haven Funeral Home at 457-1830 or 458-1467 or email newhavenfuneralhome@gmail.com. New Haven Funeral Home, SVG's preferred funeral home.
Sparrows, rum of pure sophistication. Sparrows, rum, aged to perfection. Skillfully crafted and forged with time in oak barrels. A rum so divine. Discover authentic Caribbean rum. Sparrows, premium rum. Sparrows, full-bodied rum. Sparrows, pure sophistication. Discover authentic Vincentian rum. Sparrows, premium rum.
Distilled and blended by St. Vincent Distillers Limited. Please drink responsibly.
Agents, Brewers, Distributions Limited. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's a whole new world out there. Reaching new customers and getting products faster. That's what it's all about. Ocean freight rates are skyrocketing, so don't pay more for slower service. It's time to switch to faster, more reliable air cargo service with SkyMax Cargo. Up to 3 flights weekly to and from the USA, Puerto Rico, and the Caribbean islands. Providing excellent import, export, and e-commerce solutions to put you ahead of the competition. For special low rates on small packages and air cargo, contact SkyMax today. 784-456-5400. Local agents SwiftPack Interprime Cargo. Call 784-456-5400 to book your shipments today.
Hassle-free loans for your every need. Cards have you covered, best believe. Cards ready, cash is for everyone. Not to worry, fast approval. Hurry up and come. We got it all, we on the go. Cards ready, cash, you already know. We got it all, we on the go. Cards ready, cash, always ready. When you're ready, let's go.
Cards ready, cash, ready when you are.
WEFM, the new fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All righty, so we are back with you for our Activated Mornings program, and we are in the commentary segment with Lyf Compton. All right, so I know that we told Sean he can call back, so when he comes back, we would continue. But is there anything that Sean touched on that you want to speak on?
Yeah. Well, basically, the reading, the reading is frowned upon, but from, as I said before, from research is not something that is like illegal. Basically, not knowing Parliament language, as you said, I use the word illegal. It's not something that is legal. You could ask the speaker to do it, and the speaker will decide, well, okay, yeah, I'll allow you to do it. But as Sean said, and he stressed my point before, that it encourages debate, and it encourages a member of Parliament to know exactly what is going on in their ministry and being able to speak about it from the top of the head. Like, go ahead.
We have a call on the line. Let's take it. Hello, good morning.
Yeah.
Hi, good morning to everyone. Just want to weigh in a bit on this reading in Parliament. I followed this session since it began, and at some point in time, I was saying, look, something is off here. We have certain persons who are reading. Now, Roleza made a point that, I don't know if Roleza was in the defense here, but she can say that it may be the presenter's first time. But my point is that if I have aspirations of being in Parliament, I would find it and make it my business to be familiar with the rules, and in particular, presentations, and at least start practicing and knowing, to avoid going on the road of reading. Also, if I want to go back, previously, I recall in Parliament, you had then Senator Minerva Brown, when she was making her presentation. And I was looking at it and I said, look, she's reading. And then Daniel Cummins rose on a point of order to the then sitting speaker, which is Rachel Ford, saying that Brown was reading. And then the Speaker of the House advised the Senator Brown to desist from reading. And this is what's her debut also, advised her to desist from reading. I can't recall ever hearing in Parliament before, I may be wrong, where the speaker actually says, hey, go ahead, she can read. I may be wrong. But again, I mean, personally speaking, it's a debate. And persons should know the difference between reading and debating. That's my point.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Val. Yeah. So that's most people take on it. as the research shows, then the speaker is actually allowed to allow them to read if they so choose. It's just at the discretion of the speaker, right?
I suppose for me, I would want to see what happens maybe the next rounds, right? Not that
going forward.
Defensive, right? And not that I was being Val, just to know, not that I was being defensive of but I could understand, from the human aspect of things, because it's not a robot going into Parliament to read. And yes, I do agree that all persons should familiarize themselves with parliamentary procedures, etc. But I suppose for me, the human side of things is on a first instance, I could give the pardon.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. But
the thing is, right, to be honest, right, the Speaker of the House is a position I myself always look at in awe. I'm in awe of the speakers because in my thinking, I'm always wondering how they just get put into this role and they just know what to do. Right? But from looking at it now, it's not a situation where they're put in the role and they know what to do. There is a job where you go and you learn on the job. So I used to be thinking, how these people, I respect the speakers because I say, how they know all these rules, how they know how to do these things or whatever. And then now I got basically like a rude awakening yesterday, realizing that all of these speakers that ever went into the House, they are basically just going with the flow of, they basically have, like, probably some of them have basic knowledge of what happens and they just go with the flow and they learn on the job.
I think more, for me, I would describe it more as a crash course where they have to learn as quickly as possible, but maybe not everything is going to be fully cemented until, as you say, you learn on job, which comes with any job in particular, so yeah.
Sometimes, not any job in politics. So some jobs you can't do that is to kill people.
You have to be personalized, yes, but yeah. There's something. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
There's something that Sean spoke about, and he made mention of the speaker being biased, right? I guess maybe to him there was maybe a blatant display of being biased, but
all the speakers do.
Okay, all right, thank you. Also your okay, because
all of them do.
That is something that I have always I know persons tend to make the comments about whoever is in power. You tend to find the speaker ruling more in favor of whichever party is in power and the party that has nominated and appointed them for the position. So, it was just something there.
To be honest, right, Jomo Thomas, former Speaker Jomo Thomas, he tried his best to be to not be one-sided. But when he made what happened is that when the ruling was made in relation to the motion, people saw him as being political. But from looking at him, when he was there, he used to try his best to be not one-sided, because sometimes he would engage in heated discussions with members of the government that put him in the position to. We saw that. So he was trying, but at the end of the day, all of them do it. From way back in the New Democratic Party days before 2001, we will see that happening. The speakers always are politically appointed and they act politically in many occasions. So yeah, that's why I take it from that. I like to commend my friend Chelsea, Senator Chelsea Alexander, yesterday for her speech yesterday. She did her thing, and she wasn't one of the persons who went in there cussing people and taking pokes at people or whatever. She did her thing. She made a speech, very respectful, very, very well done. I look forward to future presentations from her, because I'm a friend. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be biased. So, but what I noticed yesterday too is Senator Kisa Peters, she basically, without pointing out who she was responding to, in my opinion, she responded to what Senator Jamali John had said the day before in relation to the education revolution, because Senator John painted a picture of him going to school solely on the basis of the input of his parents and not needing the input of the Unity Labour Party's education revolution, while Senator Peters basically painted a totally opposite picture where she needed the input of the government in relation to the education revolution. So she made some points saying that, okay, there are some elites, there are some people who don't need the help, but there are also people who need the help. And that is why I think Senator John, in knocking the education revolution, should have been a little bit more careful and mindful of what he said towards the whole education revolution setup. Because as Senator Peter said, there are some people who, without the input of the government in over the last between 2001 and 2025, would not have achieved certain things in relation to education. And as I said before, my time in going to school, there were half the schools, there were a lot of issues with the education system, and going to university wasn't something that many people were seeing in the horizons. Many people, because it was just too expensive. Mm-hmm. Universities was back then something for the elites, where if your parents can't find over $100 and something $1,000, you're a guy no way. Mm. And then you have to go
and I suppose that's why it seemed like it was something so prestigious in coming back.
Exactly.
Whereas nowadays days is everybody has a degree. Well,
exactly. Well, exactly. So it's either you had a lot of people did not have the financial capacity to go to school, and they didn't have the asset capacity where the parents could get a loan to send you to school. Because even if your parents had 100 acres of land and the income, and didn't have the income to pay back a loan, you wasn't going anywhere, right? And then after 2001, we saw the government kind of putting things in place, the then government putting things in place where the aim was to have one university graduate from every household in St. Vincent and Grenadines. And it is almost achieved. There's hardly a family, no matter how their economic situation in St. Vincent right now, without a university graduate. There are many first-time university graduates from families in St. Vincent right now. Yeah, so you have to be very careful. As a politician, right? As a politician, right? You know, sometimes you go opposition politician or whatever, or a minister is not everything that you knock. It's not everything that you knock. Some things that you knock, you're going to offend people, and you're going to make people go against you, because the political atmosphere in St. Vincent right now has changed. I don't know if this is just my opinion. I think the atmosphere in St. Vincent has changed politically after the last election, in that people feel that they can hold governments accountable, they can hold ministers accountable for things they said, and we see it being done regularly. So you have to be careful with your knock. One person who is good at being careful what they knock is Major Sinclair Liquor, because sometimes, a lot of the times you would hear him say that, okay, let's not be unrealistic. We cannot say that the Unity Labour Party administration did nothing at all. Mm. We have heard other new ministers say to Minister of Tourism, Dr. Kishore Shallow, he said it. He has said it. Other ministers have said that you can't just say they did anything wrong. So you gotta be careful with your knock, you're gonna make people get vexed with you, right? Because if you're saying, boy, I didn't need the education revolution to do anything and I didn't benefit from it, kudos to you and kudos to your family for being in a financial footing to help you in relation to that, or for putting things in place to make sure that you are given that opportunity. You know, so you gotta be very, as a politician going forward, you gotta be very, very careful of what you say, right? Because you can get people vexed and they can come and cuss you. And there's a belief among certain parts of Vincentian society that the NDP is a kind of like, as they used to say, the NDP is like a butch people party, where only people of a certain social standing are basically welcomed in the upper echelons of the party. That is a belief among some people in Vincentian society. So when you go to Parliament and you say, well, I didn't benefit from the education revolution, I like to thank my mother and father for being able to educate me and whatever. There are plenty of people who didn't have that opportunity for the parents to be in a position to help them like that. So,
but you know,
Minister,
you're talking this, so I've been trying to figure out if the education revolution was only about the ability. Now I know a greater extent of it, yes, is the ability for persons who are more disadvantaged to be able to benefit educationally, especially it's all sectors, all levels. But what about the encouragement of having teachers being more qualified in that there are more qualified teachers throughout all of the schools, as opposed to just the quote unquote elite schools or certain schools? Wasn't that also part of the education revolution?
Yeah, part of it was to have all teachers university graduates, most teachers university graduates, and teacher trained. And I think they say they achieved that with over 60% of the nation's teachers being university graduate and teacher trained.
Okay. Hold on, Lyf. Let's take a call. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
I just want to put a little bit in here. From what I listened, that Senator John mentioned, he is not one of the education revolution students, because the leader of the opposition mentioned him and mentioned a couple of them in Parliament there. That's why he responded to that.
Chelsea Alexander, Senator Chelsea Alexander, and Junior Minister Lavon King, he and Jamali John, the opposition refer to them as churn of the education revolution.
Yes, and he did mention John too. He did mention John, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So Senator John was responding to that. He said, just as the Minister of Health does not want certain people to refer to them as his friend, I do not want them to refer to me as a child of the education revolution. Right? Okay. Why being a child of the education revolution is a problem, I don't know. But
but to be fair, he's not the only person I've seen say that, though. I know that leading up to the campaign, well, one person's post in particular came back to me, and they used the same reasoning in that their parents were the one who provided for their education. They did not have to access it like maybe the rest of us, you know. But
that's good. That's good. Parents need to be forward thinking like that and try their best to do that, right? But if you can't, which is money is easy to come by to educate a person, right? The thing is right.
Lyf, you have a call on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello,
good morning.
Good morning, how are you doing?
We good.
My thing is with the speaker at the house. I think that she's really, really bad, and like she tried to stand the leader of the opposition in every way possible. And I think it's a planned thing, right? There is no speaker ever subject to correction ever throughout so much question people have to ask that the leader of the opposition supposed to ask, and do not want them to ask, and nothing wrong with the question. Thing of it is out there in the public domain, and she don't want the leader of the opposition to ask question. And yesterday, when the leader of the opposition said that the minister was reading, right? She encouraged the minister, she got the minister to continue. And she tells Sinclair to continue as well. When Sinclair was using like insulting language to the leader of the opposition, when he got up and he tried to thing and raise it to the speaker, and then she speaker listen and tell them to go ahead. It can't be basically biased. I know every speaker have their best, but I think this one is really to try to stand for the leader. And knowing Dr. Gonzalez is not going to make them try to stifle him. Understand? He's been in Parliament for so long. That is one. And number two, Dr. Gonzalez is not going to sit back and allow them to get away with things. Knowing Dr. Gonzalez as a strong political person, he's not going to really allow them to try to stifle him. And then, the speaker, I think, if they have to continue like that, they will have to get a new speaker. You understand what I'm saying?
We hear you. we hear you.
Yeah.
We hear you, but yeah.
I don't like, because I never see speaker operate like that. It can't be barefaced by us like that. You can't show the question. She showed some questions from Kizal, from Carlos, from Ralph. And then now, she tried not to raise Ralph. What happened? Why Ralph cannot raise the question with the Prime Minister's son? Why? Is there something to it? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
I'm dissatisfied with our behavior. Because if somebody, the rule is they cannot read your speech. Is the rule? She come in like the house belongs to her. That's the how she operating under, like what she said rules. And that's where the rules governed by rules. And then she tell the Prime Minister, if you continue like that, she go ban him from the hub. She can't ban a member from the house. That's because I rightly tell her what the people of North Central when what could ban him. You could suspend a person for the day if they break certain things. If somebody speaks or something like that. Right, understand? You could ban them for the day, but you can't ban them entirely.
Okay.
I don't know where she get that from.
All right. Okay, Carla, we get you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. When in relation to the speech, right, is it's left solely up to the speaker to allow them to read, but it's not usually, it's frowned upon basically, it's not done. A member doesn't want to do it either. Most members from the parliaments that operate under the same rules, the Westminster style, I think it's called, they don't read, they don't want to do it either. They only do it in special cases. But she can actually say, well, okay, yeah, allow that, as Senate, as former Speaker Jomo Thomas said, and as the research shows. But it's frowned upon. It's not now. Ministers don't want to do it, and ministers shouldn't aspire to do it. That's just my opinion.
We have another call on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning again. So my second round at it again. So that last caller strengthened my point that I did make early on. Nobody in Parliament they know, in the NDP, knows the rules like Dr. Gonzalez. But politically, Dr. Gonzalez will take time and turn every single one of them over. And me from North Central Windward will have to be part of not having Dr. Gonzalez in Parliament. Apart from that, there is nobody else in St. Vincent and the Grenadines could ever make that happen. So my point is well taken, and just for repeat's sake, I firmly believe that Dr. Gonzalez will turn every single one of them politically over when in the fullness of time, because there is nothing that the NDP knows that Dr. Gonzalez doesn't know. And if anybody could come forward to put up my house, my property, and I go so far, and my family. So
but you do remember as well, to Marksman, that becoming an expert at something or becoming well versed or well knowledgeable something, it does take time as well, right?
Well, yeah.
There are many things that we're not necessarily going to get off the first bat. So
Okay.
Right? So this is why whenever he stands on a point of correction, so hold on. So this is when Dr. Gonsalves stands on a point of correction in Parliament, that I am not opposed to it, right? Because if there's a parliamentary procedure and this is how things are supposed to be done, educating persons there's nothing wrong with that. But persons are also new to being in Parliament.
If they want to take
while they could read the rules, yes, ahead of time. Nobody, as you're correctly saying it, because Dr. Gonsalves has been there the longest, everything or things will be a lot more cemented for him. All right?
Is the best opposition leader will ever pass to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I could tell everybody that.
All right, Max.
That they are going to hyper Dr. Gonsalves. No way. No way. Not under the sun.
All right, Max.
He's a force to reckon with. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, the famous Mr. Marksman made so by Kenton Chance. He has a point, you know. The former prime minister, now opposition leader, being in opposition is a formidable force to be reckoned with, right? In the house and everywhere in opposition. Marksman has a point, you know. It's gonna be a very interesting 5 years with Dr. Gonsalves, opposition leader, right? It's gonna be very interesting. He's a very strong opposition by himself, you know what I mean? And surprisingly, I'm not being disrespectful to anyone, but surprisingly, Senator Carlos James, he's doing a good job in the role, and so is, well, I would expect Senator Peters to do a good job because she has always been that kind of like fiery presenter or whatever, and she you'll always expect it, right?
Let's just take this final call and then we would wrap up for today. Okay. All right.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. I don't understand people trying not to be a part of the education revolution. The education revolution is something that happened in the country. It didn't happen because you have money to go to school. It has to do with the system that was set up for people to learn. The teachers who go to university, they were part of the education revolution. So if those environments wasn't created, that same Mr. John might not have reached the standard he was. He is that right now. So people just look at the one part that, oh, you didn't help me to go to the university. But the environment that you go into help you to go to university too. All those teachers who couldn't go for the university graduate. When the education revolution was put in place, that was one of the first steps that happened. That paved the way for children to educate themselves, to be able to go to university. So when people say another part, you don't take one part of the education revolution and say, I'm not a part of it. It's like people who say, oh, you never helped me go to Taiwan. It's the Taiwanese. That program was there on the NDP too. How many people went on the NDP to go to Taiwan? Ralph is the one who fought for that program organizers and people start going to Taiwan. People who went to all different other countries for education. That's part of the education revolution. I grew up on the NDP now. People, these young people probably don't even know what they're talking about. When there was only 2 or 3 people going to a university, there was no foundation for people to think of higher than high school. When you come out of high school with 4 or 5 subjects, 6 subjects, 8 subjects, you're happy. You go by the bank, you look for a job, or you go police, or you go nursing. Those were your options. I hear people studying all kind of thing now. People never think of studying those things back in them days. So that is part of the education revolution. People just looking at it as, oh, I didn't get money from government to go to school. That is not your part, only part of the education revolution. There's a lot of parts of it. So I don't see people, every child who grew up after 2001, they were part of the education revolution. Whether they want to send them privately to university or what. But they were part because the buildment was built, the foundation was built for children to learn to get to that level. Because before that, nobody was thinking about no university like that. So, you're not a part.
All right, Kojo.
All right.
Lyf, wrap up.
Yeah, the thing is, right, I think lawyers who wanted to study between 2001 and 2025, I think they would have a problem with the education revolution because they don't focus on lawyers, basically. I think that's what some of the grievances come with, because at one point it was said that there are just too many lawyers and we're not really focusing on helping lawyers move forward. I think the only help that, I could be wrong with this too, and I think the only help that lawyers get, people want to study law, get from administration was the economic costs paid to UE. And I'm not even sure if they pay the economic costs of lawyers. I'm not sure about that. But if they do, I think that's the only help that some lawyers would have gotten to study under the previous, because they were saying that they were encouraging other areas of government. But to wrap up, right? Let me just list the role of the speaker, right? So the role of the speaker, it says, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Speaker of the House of Assembly has significant authority to control proceedings and import. This is what I said before, but those powers are procedural and not political. So just procedural powers, not political powers. Their role is to chair debates, decide who may speak, enforce time limits, interpret and apply the standing orders, which are the rules of Parliament. The Speaker's ruling on procedure are usually final unless overturned by a motion of the House. So you see that again, procedural, not political. If a motion could overturn the decision of the Speaker, which most of the time probably might happen because a motion is votes and the person with the majority will vote for it, whatever. So discipline members, in relation to disciplining members, if a member refuses to obey the Speaker, uses abusive language, or disrupt the proceedings, the Speaker may suspend them temporarily and refer to the matter for further action. And they also have an administrative role, represent Parliament in official matters, oversee certain parliamentary administrative functions. The Speaker typically does not vote in normal decisions. If there's a tie, the Speaker may cast a deciding casting vote if there's a tie in something, which we will never see. Mm-hmm. So, important limitation, the Speaker cannot remove an MP parliamentary on their own. They can't do that on their own. Override constitutional rights. Serious, this is serious. Block debate without procedural grounds. So, in wrapping up, as Akala mentioned before, I think that the throwing out of certain of those questions, a lot of those questions, the majority of those questions during the proceeding before this debate, I think that was kind of suspect. A lot of the questions were thrown out for technical reasons, them being too long or whatever. What we notice will happen sometimes, as Kenton had corrected me, is that it happened before, but not on this extent, where the majority of the questions were thrown out. And what happened in the farm administration also is that sometimes the questions were edited, not totally thrown out because they're too long. So, yeah, you all enjoy your weekend. That's my...
I just want to say, finally, though, I suppose many of us, I will definitely put myself into that category. We are not knowledgeable of what parliamentary procedure is, right? In terms of what is required, what is expected. And for many of us who are just looking at Parliament or listening to debates, I suppose I've been exposed to listen to debates since in my childhood. Mommy will put on 705. I had no choice but to listen to it, right? Or to hear it. Not necessarily listen, but to hear it. But I think now that many of us are a bit more in tune with it, and because of that, there are several questions or several takeaways that we would have, but we're not... where do we go to find the information regarding parliamentary procedure? It's not necessarily something that starts in school, right? So at least you could get that head-on, full-on information. It's like, how does the general public become exposed to what the procedures actually are and what is the expectation? So unless we do the research on our own, we are going to have a lot of these conversations again coming up.
Two ways you could go. You could Google it. It's available. It's available there, and you could go and get rules of the parliament. You can get it from the printer or wherever you go to get these things. You can get it because yesterday when the prime minister was stating sort of things, I saw new members of the house going through their rules, searching for it. So more people we're gonna have more controversy because more people looking at parliament. So basically, they need to go and learn what's going on, and there will just be a NDP hater or a ULP hater and say, "Oh, they're wrong. They shouldn't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that."
Yeah.
They will be objective now.
But maybe we could throw this back on you at the APA. Maybe do a little presentation for us in terms of like a video, something. Just it doesn't have to be long and lengthy, but let us know as a public so we could go and look at this video to see what it is. Hopefully people look at the video, because that's another thing. You could put information out, but people don't necessarily gravitate towards it. But because more people are looking at it now, as you correctly said, maybe there needs to be a little bit more education in terms of what is the expectation or what is actually the requirement. So
I suggested to the bosses, and I know somebody who wouldn't have a problem doing that. Speaker of the OECS House of Assembly, Renee Baptiste, she might be interested in doing something like that because she's definitely authority on that. So I suggested to them. Thanks for the suggestion.
Not a problem, sir. All righty. So with that, we are heading on. Oh boy, this was a long one, Lyf. But that's okay. That's okay.
You catch me this morning, I don't tell you.
But that's quite okay. Very informative, and the opinions of everybody that was welcomed as well. All right. So with that, we are definitely heading on out of this segment. This was our commentary with Lyf this morning, and it was in regarding questions on the recent parliamentary procedures. All right. So we're out.
99.9 WEFM.